Why do we drink alcohol? As a species, it really does make no sense. Alcohol kills 95,000 Americans every year, maybe even more than that now, and globally it kills millions. Millions of people die from this drug. Imagine for a second we found out that those very same statistics happened if we ate apples. Do you think the population would continue to eat apples? Of course not. Nobody would ever touch an apple ever again, and apples would become history. We'd put them in a box and they'd be in museums, and that would be it. Apples, human race, no longer linked, goodbye. But at the same time, alcohol does that very same thing. Yet millions of people wake up every day and choose to put that stuff in their body. So today I'm going to explain why. I'm going to bring some order to the chaos that's going on in the world. Because it's madness. It makes no sense. And very quickly, if you want instant access to a brand new video training that I've just finished showing you how to control alcohol in as little as 48 hours, then click the link in the description. This new method is not about using willpower therapy or AA meetings. It's totally different. I do not publish this video anywhere else online, and it's already changing thousands of lives. So click the link below for instant access. Once you're on the next page, enter your name and email address and your free training will begin. It takes just 7 minutes to watch, but it'll feel like somebody flicks a switch in your brain. And honestly, I'm not sure when I'll start charging for this 7-minute video training. That's how good it is. But whilst it's still available, click the link below, enter your name and email address, and watch that video now. So let's get into the very first reason. The very first reason started before you were even born, and it all comes down to society's paradigm. When you're born, you are born into a world that sees alcohol a very specific way. We do not see alcohol as this murderous substance that destroys families, destroys lives, puts people in a coffin, knocks years off your life expectancy, is the cause of murder. Listen, we don't see it this way. We see it as a bit of fun, a way to celebrate becoming an adult, something to have at your 21st or your 18th birthday. With other drugs, we do see them as destructive, as dangerous, as something to stay away from, but alcohol gets this rite of passage. And when we're born, we don't get to choose this paradigm. It's kind of like this global agreement that everybody has with alcohol. When you're growing up, as a child, even as a baby, you're exposed to this worldview through advertisements, through media, through movies that we watch growing up. And we are born into a world that has conditioned us to see alcohol as something that adds value in our life. We don't see it as the same as we see crack or heroin or cocaine. We see it as something that makes our life better. So this is the first reason why we drink, and it all comes down to the way we've been conditioned to see the drug. The second reason why we drink is that when we start drinking alcohol, what usually happens? I can remember it like yesterday. I remember drinking alcohol with a bunch of my friends around me. In fact, it was one friend the first time I drank, but then as I got older, it was more friends. But what happened is immediately I received validation. And listen, as a young man growing up in the world, that's kind of one of the most important things you can have. Yeah, sure, growing up, you learn, all the stuff, don't care what people think about you. But when you're in your teenage years, I think it's the only thing that matters. It's validation from your peers. And with alcohol, this is huge. In college, in universities, friendship groups, alcohol is there. And when you drink the stuff, everybody socially validates you. But if you was a teenager and then all of a sudden started popping painkillers or some other drug that, is just a no-go for these teens, they'd kick you out of the social group. But with alcohol, we receive validation. The third reason why we drink is because we don't actually realize we're addicted to a drug until it's too late. So what I mean by this is that we tell ourselves, I can stop whenever I want. It's not like I'm an alcoholic. It's not like I've got a drinking problem. And we tell ourselves this lie that we're in control. I don't know if you've read popular stop drinking books, Alan Carr's book. A bunch of other people use this example. I'm pretty sure it originated from Alan Carr's book, but he talks about the Venus flytrap. And in the book, he says that it's something that a fly lands on. The fly will get a taste of this nectar and it's beautiful. And it will eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it. And then it looks down and it can see all of these carcasses. And the carcasses are dead flies. But the fly looks down and thinks, well, that's never going to happen to me. I can fly away at any time that I want. And then the more it eats, the heavier it gets. And then it gets so heavy that it can no longer fly away and then boom, falls to its death. And the whole point that Alan Carr made is that when did the fly lose control? When it had already fallen to its death, or when it looked down at the other people that had died and it continued eating it? We lose control much earlier than we think. The problem is that we don't realize this until it's too late. So whilst we feel like we can stop whenever we want, the problem is that we don't stop in those moments, so we keep doing it. I've got friends that I grew up with that smoked weed, and they told me the same thing. I didn't feel like I could just stop smoking weed when I was a teenager. I actually felt like it was hard. But my friends around me all said, I can stop whenever I want. Some of those people still smoke the stuff 16 years later, or however long, 20 years later, however long it was, I can't remember the ages, but they still smoke it, and they smoked it their entire life because they kept telling themselves, I can stop whenever I want. You think they can stop now? Maybe. But maybe now they don't feel that way. So instead of stopping when they told themselves that, they just continue doing it. And it's the same with every drug and every addiction. The fourth reason why we drink alcohol is due to the dehydrating properties of alcohol itself. So unlike water, that when you drink it, you don't want to drink more. When you drink an alcoholic beverage, is that it actually makes you thirstier, which is why we can drink 10 pints of beer, but you can't drink 10 pints of water the same way you can drink 10 pints of beer. The problem is you drink alcohol, which dehydrates you, which makes you want to drink more. But drinking feels natural. We drink water every day. So when we drink a drink and it dehydrates us and we want to drink more, it's not the same as like injecting something into our veins. It feels okay. I'm just having a drink. I'm thirsty. What's the problem? But a lot of people don't notice this. But alcohol, as a drug, will dehydrate you, and that will cause you to want to drink more. This is why I have a big problem with the term alcoholic. How can something that dehydrates you and its literal design is made for you to drink more be anything to do with you as a person? I don't think it's got anything to do with you as a person, but it's part of the reason why we drink. Which leads me to the fifth thing. And again, if you've read any popular stop drinking book, this isn't going to be news to you. But when you drink alcohol, it also lowers your inhibitions. So if you tell yourself, I'm only going to have 3 drinks tonight, you drink the 3 drinks, you're now dehydrated. What also happens is your inhibitions get lowered. And the actual term for this is called alcohol myopia. So alcohol myopia is when you can't think past the present moment. This is why people do things like drink driving, they have unprotected sex, they, do all this weird stuff, they might take drugs, because they don't think about the consequences of tomorrow. It's all about the moment. How can I feel good immediately? It's why we eat junk food when we drink. But when you combine the dehydrating properties of alcohol with this alcohol myopia and lowered inhibitions, you put those two together, of course you're going to drink. We have a recipe for disaster. So the sixth reason is that, I kind of said this earlier, but I need to make it a point on its own because it's so important. But the sixth dark reason why we drink is because it feels natural. Like I said, we drink every day. We drink water every day. We drink coffee, tea, whatever. So when we drink alcohol, it feels normal. It feels natural. It feels just like another thing that we do. I'm sure if all of a sudden alcohol was no longer available as a beverage, but it's something you had to inject into your veins or you had to snort, I am pretty sure that consumption would drop dramatically. But the fact that it feels natural and it's, a normal thing, and you can be with somebody that's not consuming the drug that's also having a drink, it just feels normal. It feels okay. The seventh dark reason why you drink alcohol, and this one might sting, but one of the darkest reasons why people drink alcohol is that we lie to ourselves. We tell ourselves that it's all okay, it's all going to be fine, but we know in our heart that what we're doing is wrong. It is impossible to drink this drug without lying to yourself. There are no benefits to consuming poison, right? Let's just get that clear. I know I've said it 1,000 times on this channel, but I'm going to keep saying it, but we're doing something that has no benefit to it. But all of this stuff is built on a foundation, which is the 8th reason why you drink alcohol. The 8th reason why we drink alcohol, and this is exactly what I help people fix in my coaching program. We're afraid of how we're going to deal with stress, how we're going to deal with any kind of emotion. So instead of addressing the problem and addressing whatever it is in our life that we're not happy with or that's stressing us out, is we just escape. We just pour another drink and deal with it later. And I want to remind you of one thing. Life without alcohol isn't just better. I can put my hand on my heart and say that the best thing I ever did as a drinker was to stop drinking. There was no other decision that I could have made in my life that would have got me a higher return on an investment. What I mean is I could have decided to go to a different university, right? I could have decided, a million things. But I want to tell you something important. The highest leverage decision that I could have made when I drank alcohol was to stop drinking. And as somebody that spent 10 years battling with drinking, stopping and starting all of the time, when I finally put the nail in the coffin 7 years ago and stopped drinking alcohol permanently, my life looks totally different. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because you've got nothing to be afraid of. If you want help stopping, check out the video training down below or go to soberclear.com to learn more about the work that we do.